Good morning, Armel. Really nice to be here with you today, and really nice to introduce you to my class and introduce my class to you. We're looking forward to using your platform and hopefully helping some people in our community, which is really cool. All right, so what I was hoping to do here today was sort of two things. One is just give the students a sense of potential futures, things they could be doing after university. And so I wanted to kind of use you as a case study and kind of talk about what you're up to. And I might sneak in some things like how much you use collaboration and critical thinking and stuff like that, because I push those a lot in the classroom. And then secondly, we want to actually show off the platform a little bit and give the students some sense about how to use it for their projects. So maybe we'll start at the first place and just say, tell us about you. Give us a little bit of your life story. We would love to know how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean that's a long story. I try to give a short version. I'm originally from Cameroon. I was born and raised in Cameroon. I came to Canada in 2005. After high school, I came to Canada to pursue my undergrad. So I studied in Ottawa, University of Ottawa, as a software engineer to become a software engineer. So I graduated there. After a couple of months, I started working for an enterprise company doing software for telecommunication companies. I did it for a few years, but I always felt like I never was kind of satisfied with the work I was doing. I felt like I wanted to do something that has more impact. And unfortunately, sometimes when you work in a big company, it's really you don't always feel that you're making such an impact. And so, although I was working there, I was always trying to look for something else that I could do. I looked at some part doing architecture, but I quickly realized that maybe where I was the right place to be, which is more with software. And part of the magic, because I realized with software, was the fact that you could create something and have this small, you can create something out of nothing, but
Right.
also have that what you created, really help people at scale without having you physically doing anything. So I was really seduced by the idea, and I started looking at different things that I could do. I actually started working on a music sharing platform for music illustration because I've always been into music. Um, and that had a little success, but it didn't really go anywhere. I was doing research on the side. And
So
but
just one
something,
step here. So
yeah.
you actually left a relatively major organization to start doing
So
things in a more entrepreneurial way. Is that right?
yeah, so at the time I actually was still working as full time, so I did it on the side.
That's smart.
And it didn't, so I was doing it on the side over the weekend, all the little time that I had. But interesting enough, it didn't necessarily go that far, but I had someone from Florida that was super excited about what I was doing. And he said, well, this platform would be really nice if it wasn't just for music, it was also audio in general. And he also started telling me about like smart speakers and Alexa and all those things that were really popular at the time in the US, wasn't yet available in Canada. And anyway, as I start looking, just say, oh, this is really cool. Actually, what he says makes sense. And slowly, I kind of went with, looking at the audio space in general, and really realized that that's actually where I felt like there was a lot to do. And the idea really came about to me. I mean, I really realized one of the things that I realized at the time was that there was a lot of value to have very short audio content, right? Because it was concise. You didn't need to look at a screen, which more and more people don't necessarily want to be stuck to a screen, and it can be really efficient. It's convenient to create, unlike video where you need like you need to like the camera. You can make sure the lighting is right. There's less pressure, but it's
Right.
it's still very natural. It has it has a lot of human aspect that text doesn't have. Anyway, the short story is, I started work on this little project, and I had an opportunity to work with the incubator in Toronto called the DMZ, which was working partnership with Facebook. And I had to make a decision: do I continue to do this on the side, or I just go full time and just kind of focus on this? And I decided to make the job. And fast forward, I've been doing it for 2 years, and things have been really going in the right direction. So I'm super excited about what
Cool.
we're doing now, and I think it was probably one of the best decisions I made in my life.
Cool. If I can just sort of talk to the students for a little bit there. You guys, I always talk to you guys about critical thinking, creative thinking, communication skills, all those sorts of things. And, the story you just heard, if you kind of unpack what Armel was just saying, if you want to come up with a product that has value for other people, you got to sit and think about what's out there, what's not out there, what would fit something of value to people that you could then make your own career out of by providing that. That it's a lot of work. I'm in the entrepreneurial space myself, but I've got a safe, cushy prof job on the side, which is nice.
As long as it works.
Nothing but respect for the entrepreneurial community. It is an opportunity to make the life you want to make, but it ain't easy. I'm sure you will attest to this. It's a lot of hours, it's a lot of time, and you're constantly having to learn new things. And you're constantly having to interact with other human beings effectively, right? So
yeah,
that started with that partnership. I like that. Maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the human interactions.
Yes, I mean that's a good point actually. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to learn a lot of things very quickly. You have to learn a lot of things. But probably one of the biggest part of the job is what you point out, which is interacting with people. So when I was working as an engineer, you might have like maybe your teammate and maybe your manager, and you just follow instructions. But when you work as an entrepreneur, you have to level up your skill when it comes to interacting with people, because you have to understand what's people motivation. Really try to get a good glimpse of who they are, what they're looking for. Because everything you really do after that is really interacting with people, right? You might interact with your team, with your partners, with customers. So communication is super important. Being able to listen is another thing. Not just like really understand where the other person coming from, what is their interest, what are they looking for, and be able to really honestly also figure out a way to get your message out, but while still making sure that you can receive what the other person has to say. I probably would say that through this journey as an entrepreneur, I've really developed as a human being, really just on the personal side, just because I had to learn, for example, again, not just take things personal, because sometimes you can take things personal, but most of the time people are not necessarily doing something against you, or so you have to really learn, like master the art of interacting with people.
Yeah, that's why, by the way, that we're doing this as a group project at the end. I know students don't love group projects always, and we're building things into it to try to make sure everybody contributes and does their role, which is part. That doesn't happen in the entrepreneurial space, by the way. If you don't contribute, you are cut out of the game pretty quick, because you don't have time for people who aren't fully engaged in what we're doing. And so we find those people, we seek them out. But then critically, sometimes these are strangers. Armel and I met for the first time, I think, 2 weeks ago. We haven't said much to each other, and yet we find a place of potentially common value. And so I want to stress one of the things Armel said. We talk about communication skills and we think about expressing ourselves, but Armel said you have to learn to listen carefully. And that is the key. When it's strangers, when you're interacting with other people you don't know, if you listen to them well and you understand the problem space from their eyes, you're much better able to connect with them. You're much better able to say, oh, okay, I see how you're coming at it, and here's how my platform could, help you or whatever, versus just saying, hey, I've got this great platform, here's what it does, blah, blah, blah. And just, not being sensitive to that other person's problem space, their issues, their way of approaching things. And so I love that focus on listening. And I hope you guys all kind of do a little bit of that too. When you're interacting, sure, express your ideas, throw them out there. But when somebody else is doing that, spend some time putting your ideas on the back burner and exploring theirs with them a little bit. It's a very powerful, that's how brainstorming kind of happens. And it's a very powerful way to interact. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And I want to add something, Steve, just on what you just said. I think there's something that is important to realize is the person the good communicator has to figure out a way to get his message across. And the best way is to really understand first, not focus on where you're coming from or where the other person is coming from, and kind of figure out a way to get your message out. Because just like you said it earlier, it kind of reminded me in the early days that, you're coming from someone and you're just eager to say, this is what we do. But if you spend the time to listen to what the other person has to do, wants to get, and then you can really just, I guess, tailor your message to make sure that it resonates with the person. And I think that's probably the best way to to communicate your message. Like I always feel like my job as an entrepreneur is my responsibility to communicate to others, right? So especially because you, the entrepreneur, they might have a problem. They don't know you. They don't owe you anything.
Right.
So if you come to them, especially if you don't come to you, if you come to them, then you have to figure out a way to get that, get the message that you want out. But you have to make sure, if you want to make sure they hear it, you have to listen to them first to kind of figure out a way. So that thing that works in entrepreneurship, I think it probably works across the board in real life. Whatever you do, it's probably the best way to kind of get
Yeah.
your message out.
Yeah, and that's the whole part of this project, that you guys are playing with these things. You're working on your so-called soft skills, but there's nothing soft about soft skills. They're critically important skills to have. And so yeah, hope you guys are kind of doing all that. Excellent. I think that's a good bit of background. You get a sense of I think maybe Armel and I will both just sort of put an exclamation mark on this point. The entrepreneurial space is a lot of fun because you are in charge. You are driving the ship, and you are doing something you're passionate about, and that's all really cool. On the other side, all of these things we're talking about, often we find ourselves in these situations and we don't. Like I'm suddenly a salesman. I've never been a salesman.
Yeah.
So how do I approach other universities, for my technology and try to get them to think it's interesting? And I had to learn, the first thing I was taught by an embedded executive was begin every meeting by shutting up and listening. Listen as well as you can to what they say first. Let them speak, and then attach your message to their concerns.
Yeah.
It's a cool space, and I encourage a lot of you guys to think entrepreneurially. But I also want you to know how much work it is. Like, how many hours do you spend working on your?
I mean, it might scare some people, but I'll probably say most of the time that I have, I wouldn't necessarily count the hours. I'm frank. It's certainly over 40 hours a week. That I could say that, but a lot of hours. But I think that the thing I want to add to what you're saying, Steve, is also the fact that I don't necessarily feel, and that's maybe the beauty of the whole thing, is that although I feel that I know that I'm working a lot more than like a person with 9 to 5 job will do, I don't necessarily feel it as much because what I do is fulfilling.
Right.
And I think there's that other part. Maybe when you start the entrepreneurial journey, you feel like you have a mission, you try to achieve something. I think the fulfill part really remove on the weight and the effort, right? And you honestly, you really need to have that vision of what you're trying to achieve and be motivated about it, because it's not always easy. You put in a lot of hours, but if you enjoy what you do, if you're passionate about what you do, if you believe in what you do, then the work suddenly feels like, if you like, if anybody like that is in sport you enjoy doing, then it just feel like you're having sport just for long hours, but you still enjoy it to some sense. So it's very difficult to describe, but all I would say is that as long as you enjoy it, then it doesn't feel as heavy as it would if you maybe work in the company and you didn't enjoy your job. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think sort of a last thing to bring this out. We've been talking about the entrepreneurial space. It's a very extreme one where you have total control, but a lot of work. There are intermediate. As all of you guys are thinking about your futures, I think the bigger point Armel and I are making now is think about ending up in a career that feeds your soul in some way, that you can really feel attached to. And maybe that is, like, I know a lot of you guys want to be medical doctors or lawyers or accountants or whatever. If that's what makes, if that's feels good to you, then absolutely. But keep that in mind, that you're going to one day be 40, the alarm clock's going to go off, you're going to roll in bed, and you're either going to be going to a job you hate, or you're going to be going to a job that you find fulfilling. And yeah, the entrepreneurial space is one extreme on that, but there's a lot of jobs you can find fulfilling. So keep that in mind as you go through. There's what your parents want, and then there's what you want, and find that balance so that you're ultimately living a life that feels good to you when you roll out of bed. All right, cool. So let's switch gears a little bit here now. That was great, Armel. Thank you. So we want to now just give you guys a little bit more of a concrete sense of using Trebble. And of course, we're going to ultimately create these journeys within Trebble. And by the way, I realize now I'm speaking to two different classes, Armel. So if I'm a little vague on some things, it's because they're doing different things at the end.
Got it.
But in both cases, they're going to be using the Trebble platform to create these audio casts. And I was just hoping you could maybe walk us through what that process looks like.
Absolutely. So I'm going to allow me to share my screen here.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to share my screen from my browser. So you should let me know when you see my screen.
Yeah, looks good.
I don't know if you see yourself, but I see myself and I see you. Um, so basically, so I'm already logged into my personal account of Trebble. And so here I was doing a little demo. So this is still developing, but I just want to give you a quick demo. And the first thing I probably want to say is that this will work on your browser, but you also will be able to do it all from your phone through the Trebble app. So I just want to let you know that although I show it here on my computer, you'll be able to do it all from your phone. So you don't need your computer to do that. So when I'm logged in my account as a creator, because you can create an account as a listener, but also as a creator, you'll be able to create those journeys. So if I want to create a new journey, I just have to go and click on the button that says create journey.
So they will ultimately be going to probably something called Trebble.com or something like that.
Yeah, I should have said that, yes. So they will go to Trebble.fm, and then from there, there'll be a login button. You go through the login, there's a create an account. I just thought maybe I wouldn't want to spend too much time there. Maybe get a nitty gritty, because I think that's pretty obvious, because you go to the Trebble website. Actually, I might just going to show it here just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So you go to the Trebble website, and it's a little login button here. Click on login. It brings you to the Trebble app. You can also download the mobile app from Trebble on the App Store, the Play Store, depending on what you're most comfortable with. That's it. I should say I would recommend creating the account from the web, just because it's a lot more easier at the beginning, but you can always do it from your phone as well. Excellent. So you just go create an account. You ask you which type of account you want to create. You probably pick an account to create a shortcast, and from there, it will ask you a few information, enter those information, and then you're inside, just like I am here. So I want to kind of show you a little bit, the nitty-gritty of really creating a journey, kind of how it works. So it asks you for the title of your journey. It could be, I just play here with the topic, how to manage your anxiety, for example. So that might be, actually, I want to come up with a fun name, but maybe managing anxiety 101. I don't know.
Sure.
Something like that. So you give it a name, you give a name to your journey, then you actually also give a goal. And the goal is really in a few words, tell the people what they're going to learn at the end after completing the journey. So I could say, for example, you'll be better. You'll be less anxious. I don't know.
Sure.
Clearly, I have no experience, but I just put it out there. This is just a demo. I said, oh, I forgot maybe you'll be less anxious. Anyway, got it. So, and then there's a description you have to give about your journey. So you basically maybe saying a little bit about what you'll be talking about. Maybe if you have a specific approach that you'll be using to get there. I don't know any approach. Like I'll say I have my special stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe again, you're using it. There's a way you're gonna tell people. There's a specific technique. You can put that. There's really just giving more description about what you're gonna provide or how you're gonna provide it. And once that's done, you put a category. For example, in this case, I'll probably put self-improvement. I'll put personal growth. So there's a lot of categories that you can pick from. I just pick this one as an example. And this is just for people, so that when people are looking for journeys, they can easily find you. You can also pick the language as well. So if you want to be in English, French, Persian, depend on whatever the language you want to use, you can pick that here. And again, it's just to make it easier for people to find your journey. And once you're done, you just click finish, and then it will bring you in your creator page for your journey. And that's really what you experience. Resume. Looks like there's an error. All right. So I probably should send that example. So I'm probably going to go and actually go back to, see, that's what happens when you're actually building and you're launching something new. So you guys are getting a preview of that real life. So we're just going to go to what I already created. We're just going to go from there. So I was actually creating this is actually what you probably get. You see your journey here. And then from there, you see the information. you can basically go and edit if you made a mistake. If you want to change something, you can also add an image. Maybe you pick an image just to kind of maybe easily reflect what the journey will be about. You can change it here. But the real magic really happens here, where you get to create the content for your journey. And the way it works here is you just click on this plus button here. So here I was just testing. I had a few already, but you can just push the little plus button here. And then from there, you can record right from your browser or your phone. You just click on it. So there's multiple ways you can do that. I would strongly recommend you to just record from the browser. But if you have a specific software that you like to use, you can also use that software and come and just go here to decide to upload the audio. But in this case, I was just going to record something just from the browser. So I go here and I can just record something. So I'll record, and the way the journey works, I probably have forgotten to explain that. If you, every shortcast, as we call them, we call the shortcast basically real short of your podcast. So every shortcast that you create will be assigned to a specific day. So if you create 14 shortcasts, that will be 14 days of content. If you create 7 shortcasts, that will be 7 days of content. So here I'm going to go and record one just to kind of show you a little bit how the recording process works. So I can just push record here. There's a little timer. Let me know when to start. And I can say, hey, here's Armel. I'm just kind of doing a little demo. I just want to show how the journey and shortcuts work. Trebble. Today I want to tell you a little bit about anxiety, how to manage anxiety. Unfortunately, I don't know much. So I'm going to stop here. So you can record your shortcuts right from your browser, push play. You guys probably cannot hear it.
Or anything like that. It just goes right to the browser.
Yeah, it just goes right to the browser. They can record right there. And also they can add background music, which actually could be really suited depending on the message that you have. So you can import your own music, but we have a few songs that you can put in the background, which can be really nice. For example, I can have, let's say, I can have something a little bit more calm and just put in the background. So Trebble will add that music in the background for you, and which again, depending on what you're saying or how you want to put it together, can be really nice. And you get the opportunity to listen to what you're saying. Unfortunately, I think I don't have the speak. I have my headphones, so you probably cannot hear it.
It's not coming through. Yeah.
Actually, I'm thinking, but yeah. So once you do that, you give it a title. It could be, you might say, I'm just trying to think of a topic here for my jury. Let's see how
music and anxiety or something, for example.
Yeah, music. How music can be a solution to it. How music can be a solution to your anxiety. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, see, it looks like I should be. I can do I can learn from the class of the journey that you guys will create. But so yeah, for example, you can do that.
Very interesting, where you have the notes that if it's based on a research article or something, they could.
They can link the article, so you can share more information. It might be maybe you have a Google Doc that maybe like you can share basically additional informational material that you think would be valuable for people to follow. Like you said, if you want to point out the research, you can add that in a note, and then you go finish. And basically, we should see it here now. So I was already creating a few things, so that's why you probably won't see it here. But basically, when I create the journey, as you can see, I was just doing some examples here, but you can see there's day 1, day 2, and all those things are all shortcasts. So there's day 1, day 2, day 3. So
a shortcast is the same as a capsule. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. That is more of a, So it took a little bit of time to show up, but now we should see here, because basically what Trebble was doing in the background was, taking the audio, cleaning up a little bit, make sure it has a good volume, adding the background music, and now it's here. And you can see on day 11, what we just created is here. Yeah. And once you can create as much as you want. You can edit it, you can remove it if you're not happy with it. You can change it. So you can really, and once you're ready and you're happy with what you create, you can listen to it as well. I can play, but you won't be able to listen to it. But once you're ready, all you really have to do is click on the publish button here. So you can publish it right away, or you can schedule it to get published at a specific date. So I can go and say, I would love this to be published on June 8th. And you go, okay, and you push on the publish button. It'll ask you again to confirm. You say yes. And then it will do the magic and will get published. Once it gets published, you'll see this little button here that says share, and all you have to do is take this button, just click on this to copy, and then you can share it with Steve or people, or just maybe if you wanted to hear. And this is basically the link that you can share anywhere, whether it be on social media, in your email, and people, when they get, they use this link, they'll end on your public page for your shortcast, and they can go and subscribe there. There'll be a subscribe button. It's a very similar page, and they'll be able to subscribe and they'll be able to listen. So once they subscribe to your shortcast every day, they will get a shortcast from your journey to listen to, right? So let's say they subscribe to your shortcast today. That means right away they can start listening. They'll get the shortcast every single day for the next. For example, in this case, my shortcast is 11 days long. So that means when someone subscribes to my shortcast, my journey is 11 days long. I mean, when someone subscribes to my journey for the next 11 days, they'll get content from me. They'll get an email notification. If they download the Trebble app, they'll get a mobile notification as well, which remind them that, hey, there's something new for you to listen. And they will just tap on the notification or just open the app and you'll be able to listen to the shortcut that you created for that day. And the beauty of a shortcut is that people can actually, subscribe to it at any time. So although you might create it today, maybe in a year from now, someone might come and say, this is something I need. They can come subscribe to the journey and start listening and go through basically what we call like the guided audio experience that you created. So that's a little bit in a nutshell how it works. And just to kind of quickly give you a glimpse of what it will look like.
Let me just highlight one of the things you said, just for the purpose of the activity. So Armel showed you how once you publish, you can generate that link through the share button. That link is what you guys will ultimately embed in PeerScholar, what you'll submit in PeerScholar. And then that will allow, when you're assessing your peers, that'll allow you to click on their link and see their journey as you go through. So I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah, that's exactly that. That's exactly that. And at any time, if you publish and you feel you want to make changes for any reason, you can just always revert to the draft and make some changes, kind of republish it again, which can be really convenient in case you feel like there's something you're not happy with. The only thing I wanted to show you really quickly as well was the fact that if someone is subscribed to a journey, they will be able to see it on the mobile app of Trebble, which looks a little bit, I guess, obviously I'm on the bigger screen here, but anything that they subscribe to, they have basically on Trebble, they have a feed. So when they push on this button here, for example, say, hey, good morning, Jackie, I can just push on this button and I'll get the shortcut that you created for that day. So I'll probably stop here and they'll be able to listen to it, see the notes that you have attached with it. They can even comment on it. And we actually, it might probably won't be yet available for the assignment, but we're actually planning in the future to add a whole discussion section as well for people that take the journey. So if they have any questions, they have any comments, so with the journey, you'll be able to also have in the future your own kind of group of people that have went through the journey to share maybe their experience or give feedback to others or interact with other people. So you can kind of think of it like your own kind of little mini group or class to some extent. So
do you see any, this may be a little early, I know this is still being developed, but analytics, which I think students would love?
Yes, that is a good question, yes. So once you launch your journey, you'll be able to also view analytics. Obviously, I'm still trying this. There's probably nothing here, but you'll be able to actually just tap here and see the analytics. And the analytics will tell you who is coming to listen, when people are listening, where they are listening, how much have they listened. So you get all that information here. And you also even get granular information on each of the journeys of the shortcuts themselves, which is really nice as well, because you can see how many people took the journey, but how much have they actually listened to through the journey. So
cool. That's very cool. I think that would be nice. Excellent, Armel. I think this is what they need to get going. There may be some questions that emerge, but if there are questions, what I'll probably try to do is collect some of them and then send them to you at once, send you 2 or 3 questions, and then I can send back your answers to the class.
Absolutely.
it all looks intuitive. I think I have a sense of how it all works, and that's very cool. As far as the class goes, you have a sense this is being developed on the fly. We sometimes describe building airplanes while we fly them in the entrepreneurial space.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. That means there may be some hiccups, or there may be some things that come along. That's, part of what I want you to see here is Armel working in the entrepreneurial space as a potential future. And this is, one of the things you have to get good at with entrepreneurialism is damage control. Things are
Yeah.
going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. They
Just like you did earlier, things are gonna go wrong, but it's part of the job. You have to kind of manage. There's a lot of managing situation, unexpected situation to manage. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, which is a big thing. We like to go through and have this world of perfect in our mind where everything rolls out perfectly. Once you learn that doesn't happen that way, and that your success is not about not falling down, but it's about how you get up. Once you
Yeah.
kind of understand you will fall down, just get up the right way. It's a critical lesson in life. So I think sometimes we don't teach that well enough in university. So I think you're a great role model, Armel, for the students to learn from. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and there's the potential at the end of this. We have two different classes going on. So one, we're going to give some mental health advice to more marginalized groups. The other, we're going to teach about the history of psychology, which is kind of strange, but see how many people uptake that. But either way, we're also adding content to Armel's platform, giving him some things he could maybe show off to other people, which is kind of cool as well, and drawing people to his site. So this feels to me like a win-win-win from all sides, a lot of positivity, and I really want to thank you, Armel, for me and for our class for being willing to play your role in all this.
I appreciate your opportunity. I just maybe want to say one last thing to the class. I think what you guys are doing. I can just talk from the little experience that I have in the glimpse of entrepreneurship. I think you know psychology. Um, I guess you call it like mental health in general, the whole space. I think there's a lot more to do there, and I'm really excited about people being able to use this platform, especially in the context even of this class, because I think it will just really show. I think there's a lot more to do in the space. There's a lot more opportunities ahead. I think from experience, I think we've been a lot focused on what we can touch, and not a lot what goes through your mind. I think so. There's a lot of development to do there. I think the next 5 to 10 years really going to be instrumental, kind of developing that. So Trebble is hopefully can play a part in this and I guess unlocking the potential that and all the things that can be done there. But I'm super excited for the class to try this, and I think this should be part of what they're going to create.
Cool. Excellent, excellent, my friend. Thank you, thank you. This is going to be fun. We'll be in touch a little bit throughout the term. Armel will ultimately judge. I think what we're going to end up with is like a top 3 journeys after you
Yeah.
guys do your peer assessment, and then Armel will see those top 3 and he will pick a winner, which then we hope some of you will now translate into other languages as well. So, that's the kind of hope. Sorry, that was talking to the intro psych class. I have to remember I'm talking to 2 classes, and it's very tricky for me. But yeah, all very cool. Thank you again, Armel, and we will be in touch throughout the year, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing what we create together.
Thank you for having me.